Have you ever noticed how some meals leave you feeling energized and ready to take on the day, while others seem to drain your energy within an hour or two? Maybe it's that sandwich with jam or the toast topped with honey. You eat it, feel fine for a bit, and then suddenly find yourself struggling to stay awake. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many seniors experience these energy crashes, but here's the good news. Understanding what triggers them can help you avoid them altogether. Today, we're going to talk about something you might not have considered before: how certain foods paired with bread can wreak havoc on your blood sugar levels, leading to those dreaded sugar crashes. It's not just about avoiding sweets. It's about being mindful of combinations that spike your glucose too quickly. Studies show that maintaining stable blood sugar is crucial as we age because frequent spikes and drops can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, fatigue, and even cognitive decline over time. Before we dive in, let me share some fascinating science with you. Researchers from institutions like Harvard Medical School have found that the glycemic index, a measure of how quickly foods raise blood sugar, plays a significant role in our overall health. Foods with a high glycemic index cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, followed by sharp drops, which can leave you feeling sluggish and irritable. Bread itself has a moderate glycemic index, but when paired with certain toppings or spreads, its impact on blood sugar can skyrocket. In today's video, we're going to uncover the top 4 foods you should avoid pairing with bread if you want to maintain steady energy levels throughout the day. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the end because the last tip might surprise you and could make all the difference in how you feel after meals. Before we begin, I want to make one thing clear. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. Let's start with the first food combination you'll want to rethink: bread with sugary spreads like jam or honey. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I've been eating toast with jam my whole life. And that's true for many of us. However, sugary spreads are loaded with added sugars that hit your bloodstream almost instantly when combined with bread. This creates a double whammy effect, sending your blood sugar soaring and setting you up for a crash shortly afterward. Here's why it matters. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at regulating blood sugar. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition highlights how older adults are more susceptible to insulin resistance, which makes managing blood sugar even more critical. By swapping sugary spreads for healthier alternatives, like almond butter, avocado, or mashed banana, you can enjoy your bread without the dreaded energy slump. Let me share a quick story with you. A woman named Margaret once told me she started noticing her mid-morning energy dips were getting worse. She realized she'd been relying on toast with jam every morning for breakfast. On a whim, she switched to whole grain bread topped with avocado and a sprinkle of salt. Within days, she noticed she felt fuller longer and had more sustained energy throughout the morning. It was such a simple change, but it made a world of difference in how she felt. Now let's talk about why this matters specifically for seniors. Blood sugar instability isn't just about feeling tired. It can also affect mood, memory, and long-term health outcomes. For example, chronically elevated blood sugar levels have been linked to an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, often referred to as type 3 diabetes by researchers. By making smarter choices about what you pair with bread, you're not just boosting your energy levels, you're protecting your brain health too. You might be wondering, what if I don't eat bread very often? That's okay. The principles we're discussing apply to other carbohydrate-rich foods as well. Whether it's crackers, bagels, or wraps, being mindful of what you pair them with can help you maintain steady energy and avoid those frustrating crashes. Now that we've covered the first food pairing to avoid, let's move on to another common culprit, one that might surprise you. Let's talk about bread and processed meats. Now that we've covered the first food pairing to avoid, bread with sugary spreads like jam or honey, let's move on to another common culprit that might surprise you. This one is a staple in many households, especially for quick sandwiches or breakfasts on the go. Let's talk about bread and processed meats. You've probably had a ham sandwich or a turkey sub at some point. It's convenient, tasty, and often seen as a healthier option compared to something fried or overly sweet. But here's the catch. Processed meats like deli slices, sausages, and bacon are high in sodium, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. When paired with bread, they can create a combination that not only spikes your blood sugar, but also leaves you feeling sluggish and bloated. Let me explain why this happens. Processed meats contain nitrates and nitrites, which are used to preserve color and extend shelf life. While these compounds aren't immediately harmful in small amounts, studies have shown that over time, they can contribute to inflammation and insulin resistance, both of which make it harder for your body to regulate blood sugar effectively. Combine that with the carbohydrates in bread, and you've got a recipe for an energy crash shortly after eating. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that diets high in processed meats were associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, particularly in older adults. Why? Because the combination of refined carbs, like those in white bread, and processed proteins creates a metabolic storm that stresses your system. It's not just about the immediate crash, it's about the long-term impact on your health. Now, let's talk about what you can do instead. Instead of reaching for processed meats, try using lean proteins like grilled chicken, turkey breast cooked at home, or even plant-based options like hummus or mashed chickpeas. These alternatives provide protein without the added sodium and preservatives, helping you feel fuller longer while keeping your blood sugar stable. I'll share a story with you. A man named Robert once told me he used to rely on salami sandwiches for lunch almost every day. He noticed he'd feel okay for an hour or so, but then he'd crash hard in the afternoon, struggling to stay focused during meetings. On a friend's recommendation, he swapped the salami for grilled chicken and added some spinach and avocado to his sandwich. Within days, he noticed a difference. Not only did he have more sustained energy, but he also felt less bloated and sluggish. Sometimes simple swaps can make all the difference. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I love my deli meats. What if I don't want to give them up entirely? That's okay. Moderation is key. If you're going to enjoy processed meats occasionally, pair them with whole grain bread instead of white bread. Whole grains have more fiber, which slows down digestion and helps prevent rapid spikes in blood sugar. You can also balance the meal by adding vegetables like lettuce, tomatoes, or cucumbers. They'll add nutrients and hydration while diluting the negative effects of the processed meat. Speaking of vegetables, let's shift gears slightly and talk about another food pairing that's surprisingly problematic when combined with bread, cheese. Now, before you panic, I'm not saying you need to give up cheese altogether. I know how much many people love it. But hear me out, because there's an important distinction to make here. Cheese is delicious, and in moderation, it can be part of a healthy diet. However, when paired with bread, especially white bread, it can create a carb-heavy, calorie-dense meal that spikes your blood sugar and leads to sluggishness. Think about it. A grilled cheese sandwich or a pizza bagel might taste amazing, but how do you feel afterward? Chances do you feel heavy, tired, and maybe even a little foggy. The reason lies in the combination of refined carbs and saturated fat. Bread provides a quick source of glucose, while cheese delivers fat that slows digestion, but not enough to prevent the initial spike in blood sugar. Over time, this pattern can strain your metabolism and leave you feeling less energetic overall. Here's a better approach. If you're craving cheese, opt for smaller portions and pair it with high-fiber, nutrient-dense foods. For example, spread a thin layer of ricotta or cottage cheese on whole grain toast and top it with sliced tomatoes or spinach. Or, if you're making a sandwich, use just one slice of cheese instead of two and load up on veggies to balance things out. Let me share another example. A woman named Linda loved her grilled cheese sandwiches, but noticed she always felt lethargic afterward. She decided to experiment by switching to whole grain bread and adding a handful of arugula and roasted red peppers to her sandwich. Not only did she enjoy the flavor upgrade, but she also noticed she felt lighter and more energized throughout the afternoon. Now, let's address a common objection I hear from viewers. What if I don't have time to prepare healthier meals? I completely understand that life gets busy and convenience matters. The good news is that many of these swaps don't take much extra effort. For instance, pre-slicing vegetables or cooking a batch of grilled chicken over the weekend can save you time during the week. And remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Even small changes, like swapping white bread for whole grain, or adding a few veggies to your sandwich, can add up over time. Before we move on, let's recap what we've learned so far. Pairing bread with sugary spreads, processed meats, or excessive cheese can lead to blood sugar spikes and energy crashes, which no one wants to deal with. By making smarter choices, like choosing whole grains, lean proteins, and plenty of vegetables, you can enjoy your meals without sacrificing your energy or long-term health. Now that we've covered these combinations, let's dive into another surprising trigger for sugar crashes, one that might be hiding in plain sight. Let's talk about bread and sugary beverages. Now that we've covered bread paired with sugary spreads, processed meats, and cheese, let's move on to another surprising trigger for sugar crashes, one that might be hiding in plain sight. Let's talk about bread and sugary beverages. This combination is incredibly common, especially at breakfast or lunchtime. Think about it: a bagel with orange juice, a sandwich with a soda, or toast alongside a syrupy coffee drink. These pairings might seem harmless or even comforting, but they can send your blood sugar levels skyrocketing, leaving you feeling drained shortly after eating. Here's why this happens. Both bread and sugary beverages are high on the glycemic index, meaning they cause rapid spikes in blood sugar. When you combine them, the effect is amplified, overwhelming your body's ability to regulate glucose effectively. A study from Diabetes Care found that consuming sugar-sweetened beverages alongside carbohydrate-rich foods significantly increases post-meal blood sugar levels compared to eating carbs alone. For seniors whose bodies already struggle more with insulin sensitivity, this double whammy can lead to energy crashes, mood swings, and even long-term health risks like insulin resistance. Let me share an example. A man named Paul used to grab a quick breakfast every morning: a bagel with cream cheese and a large glass of orange juice. He thought he was doing something healthy by skipping greasy fast food, but he always felt tired and irritable by mid-morning. On his doctor's advice, he swapped the orange juice for water with lemon and added some avocado to his bagel instead of cream cheese. Within days, he noticed a dramatic improvement. Not only did he have more sustained energy, but he also felt less bloated and sluggish throughout the day. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I love my morning juice. And that's okay. You don't have to give it up entirely. The key is moderation. If you enjoy fruit juice occasionally, try diluting it with water to reduce the sugar content. Better yet, swap it for whole fruits, which provide fiber that slows down sugar absorption and keeps your blood sugar steadier. For example, instead of drinking apple juice, slice up an apple to enjoy with your toast. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference. Speaking of hydration, let's talk about another way to support stable blood sugar levels: staying hydrated. Dehydration can mimic symptoms of fatigue and low energy, making it harder to distinguish between a sugar crash and simply needing more water. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes, so it's easy to become dehydrated without realizing it. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day not only supports overall health, but also helps your body metabolize glucose more efficiently. I'll share a personal story here. A friend of mine named Susan struggled with afternoon slumps for years. She assumed it was just part of getting older until her doctor pointed out she wasn't drinking enough water. She started carrying a refillable bottle everywhere she went and made a habit of sipping water between meals. Combined with cutting back on sugary drinks, she noticed her energy levels improved almost immediately. Sometimes the simplest solutions make the biggest impact. Now let's shift our focus to overcoming challenges. I know that changing eating habits isn't always easy, especially if you've been doing things a certain way for decades. You might feel overwhelmed or unsure where to start. But here's the truth: small, consistent actions add up over time. If swapping all your favorite foods feels daunting, focus on one meal or snack at a time. For example, start by replacing sugary spreads with healthier alternatives like nut butter or mashed avocado. Once that becomes a habit, tackle another area, like switching from white bread to whole grain options. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. Many seniors face similar struggles, whether it's dealing with cravings, finding time to prepare healthier meals, or staying motivated. Research shows that having a support system can make a world of difference. Whether it's joining a cooking class, sharing tips with friends, or asking family members to join you in making healthier choices, surrounding yourself with encouragement can help you stay on track. Here's another powerful insight. Mindset plays a huge role in how we approach change. Many people assume aging means losing control of their health, but science tells us otherwise. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that adopting just one new healthy habit, even later in life, can improve longevity and quality of life. So whether it's cutting back on sugary beverages, choosing lean proteins, or simply drinking more water, every positive step you take matters. Let's talk about emotional well-being for a moment. Food isn't just fuel, it's also tied to memories, comfort, and joy. Giving up familiar foods can sometimes feel like giving up a piece of your identity. But here's the good news. Healthy eating doesn't mean sacrificing flavor or satisfaction. In fact, experimenting with new ingredients and recipes can be exciting and rewarding. Try thinking of it as an opportunity to explore new tastes and textures rather than a restriction. Now that we've discussed the top 4 food combinations to avoid with bread, let's wrap things up with some final words of motivation and a simple challenge you can start today. Because at the end of the day, aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in smarter, more intentional ways. Now that we've explored the top 4 food combinations to avoid with bread, sugary spreads, processed meats, excessive cheese, and sugary beverages, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. These pairings might seem harmless at first glance, but they can wreak havoc on your blood sugar levels, leaving you feeling tired, sluggish, and irritable. The good news is that by making small, intentional changes, you can enjoy your meals without sacrificing your energy or long-term health. Let's recap why these swaps matter so much. Sugary spreads like jam and honey cause rapid blood sugar spikes when paired with bread, leading to energy crashes shortly after eating. Processed meats, while convenient, are high in sodium and preservatives that strain your metabolism and contribute to insulin resistance over time. Cheese, though delicious, can create carb-heavy, calorie-dense meals when combined with bread, leaving you feeling heavy and foggy. And sugary beverages, whether it's juice or soda, amplify the glycemic impact of bread, sending your glucose levels through the roof. By replacing these combinations with healthier alternatives, like whole grain bread, lean proteins, vegetables, and water, you're not just avoiding crashes. You're setting yourself up for sustained energy and better overall well-being. But here's the thing, knowledge is only powerful when it's put into action. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start small. Maybe it's swapping white bread for whole grain, adding more vegetables to your sandwiches, or cutting back on sugary drinks. Over time, these little changes add up, creating habits that support your health in meaningful ways. Experts agree that consistency is key when it comes to nutrition. Even one healthier choice per day can make a noticeable difference in how you feel. I want to leave you with a story that illustrates just how transformative small habits can be. A woman named Evelyn once told me she decided to prioritize her diet after years of struggling with mid-afternoon fatigue. She started by focusing on one meal at a time, first her breakfast, then her lunch. Instead of toast with jam, she switched to whole grain bread with almond butter and banana slices. For lunch, she replaced her usual ham sandwich with grilled chicken, spinach, and hummus on whole grain bread. Within weeks, she noticed a significant improvement. Not only did she have more energy, but she also felt lighter and more in control of her health. She said to me, "It wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. I realized that taking care of myself didn't have to be overwhelming, it just had to be consistent." Now, some of you might still be thinking, what if I slip up or fall behind? That's okay. Life happens, and no one expects you to be perfect. The goal isn't perfection, it's improvement. If you miss a day, simply pick up where you left off the next day. And don't hesitate to enlist the help of loved ones or caregivers if you need support. Remember, you're never alone in this journey. Let's talk about mindset for a moment. As we age, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, "It's too late for me to make a difference." But science shows us that it's never too late to start making healthier choices. A study published in The Lancet found that adopting even one new healthy habit later in life, like improving your diet, can significantly increase lifespan and enhance quality of life. So whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, every positive step you take matters. Another important aspect of aging well is staying socially engaged. Did you know that loneliness can have a profound impact on both mental and physical health? Studies suggest that maintaining strong social ties reduces the risk of depression, anxiety, and even chronic diseases. While we've been talking about nutrition today, don't forget to nourish your relationships too. Share these tips with a friend or family member, or invite someone over for a healthy meal while you practice your new routines together. These moments of connection are just as vital as the habits themselves. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these food swaps resonated most with you? Are there any changes you're excited to try first? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your thoughts might inspire others who are looking for ideas. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on healthy aging. Sharing this video with a loved one could also be a wonderful way to spread the message of vitality and self-care. Finally, I want to remind you of something important. Aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in smarter, more intentional ways. Every day is a new opportunity to nourish your body, nurture your mind, and connect with the people and activities that bring you joy. Whether it's through swapping sugary spreads for nut butter, choosing water over soda, or simply smiling at someone you love, you have the power to shape your own journey. So here's to living your best life at any age, and to embracing the small, meaningful steps that lead to big results. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and remember, small actions lead to lasting change. Here's to your health.